Hello everybody, this is JP3 here, and I am back with the final, at least for a time, full campaign playthrough with no deaths, no skips, no exploits, no reverts. We have come to the 7th campaign that has been released thus far, Halo 5 Guardians. Now I could spend a whole lot of time talking about how the story, the plot and the characters and the dialogue and all this stuff was so destructive to the franchise. And I will spend at least some time talking about how the gameplay was so hit and miss and so disappointing ultimately, despite having pretty good ideas, I think, for what this campaign could be and what its levels are. But I'm going to try my best to stick to somewhat of a walkthrough approach, while at the same time trying to keep up with my gameplay, which at times can move pretty fast. A lot of what you'll see here is just me understanding on some level where the spawns are. You know, notice that the Covenant's more to the left, the Prometheans are, you know, the Forerunners, whatever you want to call them, are straight up here. Right now I'm staying back because of the Spirit dropship's turret. It can destroy you really quickly, and it still seems to be shooting at us, which is completely annoying. There usually is some Covenant over there. By the time you walk over here, you might see that Elite still alive, but they usually go down pretty fast. So you get 2 spawns of crawlers coming from around that same area there. So I just wait for them to attack. There's this guy who just sits up here pretty much the whole time. He's the weakest Promethean enemy you'll face, but for some reason he can't go down to a melee strike, because the melee in Halo 5 is, well, it's as weak as it's been at least since, you know, Halo Reach or Halo 4. The Spartan abilities, while I'm a proponent of them overall, are completely too weak to use offensively in this game, except for as, you know, for the purposes of swag, I guess. I mean, it's probably much better just to sit back and use what has now become the new noob combo. Now, I stuck that guy. This is the noob combo. You know, the first guy didn't need it. The second guy did. But just breaking the armor and then shooting in the head of the soldiers. Now, the soldiers are annoying as hell. They can phase away and take cover and phase towards you at seemingly very random times. Notice, you know, the Spartan charge there, and then I break his armor, and then I'm able to Spartan charge him again for the kill. It'd be nice if the Spartan charge broke the armor, and if whenever the armor was broke, the Spartan charge was an automatic kill, but it is not. The very same way with the ground pound. It does not automatically kill enemies like it does in multiplayer. In fact, it can get you in a whole lot of trouble, so for a legendary playthrough, you won't see me doing a whole lot of ground pounds. in this game, but I will try to get in a few here and there. I do try to limit the amount of times I use the new noob combo for these guys. So again, what you see here is just me being very familiar with, or refamiliarized, I should say, with where the spawns are in this relatively small level. And then I'm throwing a lot of grenades because, fortunately, there are a lot of grenade drops. Not only from the enemies themselves, but you also see, well, grenade placements in the cases that are kind of mostly to the outer right of this small corridor here. So a lot of the guys, well, a lot of them, all the Prometheans shoot two types of rounds. They shoot tracking rounds, which on legendary difficulty they can use to cross-map you, which is just lovely. Or they use damn near hit scan rounds. So it's either the light rifle with its hit scan-like behavior, or the bolt shot and suppressor, formerly short-range weapons, now, again, very long-range tracking, cross-mapping type weapons. There's a nice little Spartan charge there, but notice all the red around my map. They swarmed pretty fast, and so I had to get the hell out of there. And then, of course, there's the splinter turrets, which are also tracking, which is really, really terrible. So, you know, essentially the game, the Halo 5 gameplay, just especially with the Prometheans, essentially rewrites the formula that spawned this franchise, which was essentially your hit scan against their projectiles being more powerful, especially against shields, your hit scan being more accurate or easier to land hits with. There is no dancing. If you're familiar with that term, the Halo dance. Ultimately, you have to spend a lot of time in cover or hoping that the enemies aren't keenly aware of you at any given moment. It feels very RNG as to whether or not they're going to be, quote-unquote, keenly aware, because if they all start shooting at you and you're in the open, you have no chance. There's nothing you can do, really, because, again, the rounds are tracking, and they aren't just tracking rounds the way, say, needles were in Halo Combat Evolved. They're tracking rounds in the sense that there's almost absolutely no way to dodge them without using a thrust, which of course will only get you past, I guess, certain tracking rounds, but then other ones that are coming later on will be able to track you. So again, very much difficult to be out in the open with a lot of those enemies present. But here we take a chance. And by the way, I mean, you know, to get this kind of performance, which I demanded of the game and of myself, it takes a little bit. And what I mean by that is that ultimately, if you want to play this game much more smoothly, but a lot less enjoyably, of course, you wouldn't do hardly any of what I'm doing. You would sit back, just like I said with the Halo 4 series, and shoot things at range with the light rifle when available. And then if you don't have the light rifle, if you still have the BR, or you want to use the BR pistol and you know, somehow conserve the light rifle, and then you would obviously be using those instead. But of course, pairing that with, if you're using a human weapon, with the bolt shot or the suppressor. Why? Because human weapons absolutely suck against Forerunner armor, and we'll talk a little more later on about in other levels about the changes that were made in an update earlier this year. It's 2018, so in early 2018, several months ago, there was an update to many of the weapons that changed everything for the worse in the campaign. So anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. So just know, I guess, ultimately that the light rifle was never changed, And so the light rifle was your best friend against the Prometheans. Now it's almost essential against the Prometheans unless you've got a really clear head. I love that grenade there. Now, the reason why I'm staying back here and not getting in any way, shape, or form aggressive is because that giant, stupid-ass set piece to the right, the Kraken, you know, the excavator with the trendy name, well, formerly trendy name, it has turrets on it that are theoretically supposed to be pushing back the Prometheans, but they will take aim at you and will absolutely devastate you. And there's really no way to take them out. There's really, I mean, you can try to do that if you want, but you would run out of ammo pretty fast and probably get chewed up by the Prometheans or the other turrets. So right now, I need to move up to get the Kraken to move on. Once it moves on, it becomes less of a threat and we can have slightly more fun in this area. So perhaps unlike any other Halo you've ever watched me play, or anyone else play for that matter, you move a lot in this game. I mean, if you're not moving in this game, you're going to get killed. You have to move constantly. You have to be using the sprint, the thrusts, and then of course cover. It's either moving or cover. You cannot stand hardly anywhere and do anything. Even right now, I'm putting myself at risk of crawlers or soldiers immediately kind of finding my position and surrounding me, like right now. I mean, if you look at my minimap, it goes from nothing to all of a sudden there's 2 or 3 red dots around it. So they will find a way over to you. The soldiers with their silly, random, crap-ass phasing, or the crawlers themselves, which of course move fast and nimble, like they did to some degree in Halo 4. But they are very, very quick to surround you in this game, particularly on Legendary, so you have to constantly be moving. So we're going to try to get past these guys here and come over to a ledge that gives us a little more protection. We almost got absolutely wrecked there. There's a sniper over here, a Forerunner sniper, the binary rifle, which, if you've played this game, you know it operates very differently from the binary rifle in Halo 4, which I actually believe is a good thing because it's now very distinguishable from the human sniper and the beam rifle. It shoots more of a steady stream. It's almost kind of like a combo of a sniper rifle and a focus rifle, but it's much more powerful than a focus rifle. But you do have to sustain that damage on these soldiers in on Legendary difficulty to experience its full power. So notice here, you can get surrounded up here, but this is one of the few areas that I've found in this level where you do get relative protection from that. But I have had soldiers phase up here, so obviously I'm prioritizing them a lot. Now I'm out of grenades, so I can't throw grenades into that pile there that was just kind of hanging out there. So I decide, forget this. I can't find the guy that I just saw on the minimap, and of course he is phased away and or circling around. So I'm going to revive Tanaka. Do a little circle strafe on that guy as he's in the armor broken animation. And this guy here, I'm just going to pull kind of almost the grenade stick noob combo type thing you do with elites. Well, I guess in all Halos up until, well, yeah, all Halos, but yeah. So I'm going to grab this turret off in hopes that it speeds things up in the next room, but to be honest with you, with my rust in general in this game, not having played it since March of this year, which is when I did the original set of Deathless videos, but they're all in 720p at 30 frames per second. So I decided I would update this series with perhaps not always better performances, but at least a better quality video. Spent a little bit of time warming up over the past several days, but it's hard to do that with a game that plays so differently and one that you've played the least out of all the Halo campaigns. It's hard to fully warm up. So again, you'll see a little bit of rust here and there, perhaps more so in the early levels than late levels, but I'm not really sure. This is the one campaign out of all of them that I don't I did not feel and have not felt motivated to really, truly master for these videos, I guess. But at the same time, given the way this game plays, it is very hard to master it when you're not speedrunning in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just terrible with the turret there, as you could see. Just absolutely terrible with it. Really wasting... You can wipe out this room almost with that turret if you get closer than I am right now, or just don't miss as many shots. But I extend this quite a bit as a result of poor gameplay there. Now notice here how quickly we were attacked and hurt by that those two crawlers, and a lot of that is because of their tracking rounds there. I missed that opportunity to kill that knight. He is one shot away from death after all of that. Now the knights are in some ways better and in some ways worse. I feel like that what happened is that soldiers replaced knights in a way, and knights are now more like a hunter. See there, one shot. They're more like the hunters are now, but the problem with the knights is that they're pretty much damage sponges unless you shoot them in the right places. But unlike, say, hunters, well, I don't know how to explain this. Unlike hunters, which are, you know, much simpler, I guess, to kill. You know, you just shoot them in the back. You have to shoot off their carapace and then shoot them in the back or the faceplate, and it's just they're a little more challenging in a way. I don't have a big giant problem with the knights, but we'll have to talk about them another time because Osiris is already done. The ending there is pretty simple. There's some Covenant, they get wiped out pretty fast. Then you have a bunch of knights left and crawlers. If you're going to take the turret in there, know the hell how to use it. Otherwise, you could probably get a little more aggressive in that room and not be as in trouble as I kind of made it look just then. But when in doubt, stand back and shoot everything at range, of course. Well, that is the first level. I will be back with Blue Team shortly. If you liked this video, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you have not already, subscribe and definitely hit that notifications bell. As for now, however, this is JP3 signing out. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you very, 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 very much for watching. Goodbye.